Hi everybody, it's Siobhan. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today's video is a very special video to me. Um, it's called Bedtime Stories. So I'm going to be reading you one of my favorite stories from my childhood. And it's called Lady and the Tramp. So just sit back, relax, and if you're having trouble falling asleep, this might help with that. One Christmas morning, Jim Dear gave his wife Darling a very special present. Darling had barely unraveled the bow when a tiny cocker spaniel popped out of the gift box. "He's adorable!" Darling cried with delight. "I think you mean she's adorable," corrected Jim. "Let's call her Lady." Lady soon became the most beloved member of the household. Over time, Lady began to notice that her owners were paying less attention to her. She wondered why this could be. Lady discussed her problem with her friends Jock and Trusty, who told her that Darling and Jim were expecting a baby. "It's the worst thing that could happen to a dog," said a voice behind her. Lady turned to see that the voice belonged to a dog named Tramp. Tramp, Jock, and Trusty were right. A few months later, the house was bustling with activity. People were coming and going, bringing gifts and cooing over the cradle. Lady was allowed to see the baby. "He's not so bad," she thought. "He's even kind of cute. Perhaps we could be friends." Soon afterward, Jim and Darling left on vacation. Aunt Sarah was staying in their home to take care of the baby, and she had brought her two Siamese cats with her. The sly cats wasted no time in destroying the house. They shook the canary cage, tore up the curtains, and nearly tipped over the fishbowl. When Aunt Sarah entered the room to investigate the noise, the cats feigned innocence, and poor Lady got in trouble instead. Later, a man placed a muzzle over Lady's snout. She was so upset with Aunt Sarah that she ran away from home. Poor Lady was terribly frightened. She ran through the street without looking where she was going, weaving between cars. Suddenly, some stray dogs began to chase her. Since she was still trapped in her muzzle, Lady had no way to defend herself. Tramp, who was nearby, saw Lady and the stray dogs. "Poor girl, I have to help her," he said, as he ran to her defense. Just as the dogs were about to attack, Tramp jumped out in front of them. "It's Tramp!" barked the dogs. "Let's get out of here." Tramp turned to Lady, who was trembling with fear. "I feel like we've met before," said Tramp. Lady tried to answer, but couldn't. Her muzzle kept her from making any noise. "Now I remember," cried Tramp. "You're the young lady whose owner was expecting a baby." After some time, Tramp came to realize that Lady's muzzle was holding her mouth shut. That's why she wasn't answering him. Follow me, he told her. I know where we can get that taken off. The two dogs headed off towards the zoo. Tramp approached a very busy looking beaver. Hey, beaver, can you give us a hand or a tooth? Asked Tramp with a laugh. The beaver examined Lady from head to toe. With his sharp teeth, he chewed at the muzzle, and in no time flat she was free. Night fell quickly. It's dinner time. Let's eat, said Tramp, as he led Lady to the back door of a charming Italian restaurant. What a beautiful night, Lady thought, as she took a bite of her pasta. Suddenly, she felt Tramp's lips on hers. They had been eating the same strand of spaghetti. Lady blushed. The dogs gazed into each other's eyes. They were falling in love. That night, the two dogs slept under the stars. The next morning, Lady awoke with a start. I have to go home, she said. Tramp offered to escort her. On their way, Tramp decided it might be fun to chase some chickens. Lady knew it wasn't a good idea and tried to convince him to leave, but it was too late. The dogs had been spotted by dog catchers, and they took off at a run. A truck stopped next to Lady, and two men came out and grabbed her. Lady found herself behind bars at the dog pound. She had never seen so many unwanted dogs before. Her eyes filled with tears. Later that day, a guard picked Lady up and brought her back home. And Sarah tied Lady to her doghouse on a very short chain. When night time came, Tramp came to visit Lady, but she was so angry that she refused to speak to him. Once Tramp had left, Lady cried herself to sleep in her doghouse. Later that evening, as she lay in her doghouse, Lady saw a rat creeping towards the baby's room. She barked as loud as she could. Tramp heard her cries and came to see what was wrong. A rat, Lady cried. A huge rat just crawled into the nursery. Quickly, Tramp leapt into the house through an open window. Tramp arrived at the nursery just in time to stop the rat from jumping into the baby's cradle. The rat was caught off guard by Tramp's loud growl and lost his balance, falling straight to the floor. Tramp pounced on the rat, and they wrestled, but the rat was no match for Tramp. Meanwhile, Lady had broken her chain and ran to the bedroom. The rat was dead. Tramp had won. All the noise had woken Aunt Sarah, who rushed to the nursery with a broom in hand. She did not see the rat, only the two dogs. She swept the two dogs to the edge of the stairs and into the basement where she locked them up. And Sarah called the dog pound and asked them to come pick up Tramp. It wasn't long before Jim and Darling came home. Lady, who had escaped from the basement, ran quickly up the stairs to the nursery. Jim and Darling followed her. Lady lifted the curtain to reveal the dead rat. And Sarah nearly fainted. And I thought those two were hunting the baby, when all along it was a rat. I've sent that poor dog to the pound. with me, lady. We're going to find your friend. He saved our baby's life. Jim cried as they drove toward the dog pound. Lady worried that it might be too late. He's no angel, and he's not all that handsome, she thought to herself. But I love him anyway. In the meantime, thanks to Trusty's great sense of smell, he and Jock were hot on the dog catcher's trail. When they had finally caught up to him, Jock stepped in front of the carriage. Scared, the horses reared and ran the carriage wheel right over Trusty's paw. Lady and Jim soon caught up to the broken carriage. While Jim spoke to the driver, Lady was horrified to discover Trusty trapped under the carriage wheel. Trusty assured her that everything would be fine. A few weeks later, Lady and Tramp were married. Trusty didn't let his cast stop him from attending their wedding, and Jock wore his brand new plaid vest. The two friends eagerly congratulated the happy couple. Thank you, Trusty. Without you, I would be lost, said Tramp gratefully. I was glad to help a good friend, and Trusty with a smile. 1 year later, on Christmas Eve, four puppies sat under the Christmas tree. Behind the pups sat Lady and Tramp. Tramp smiled as he watched his little ones play. They were one big, happy family. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Tune in next time for more bedtime stories with me. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. See you all next time. Bye, everybody.